Hello. That's an insane hello. That's like one you'd get from the village idiot, isn't it, really? Hello. So, hi, hello. I have a confession to make. I have been buying books again, but it's in a very good cause. And the very good cause is simply this: to keep bricks and mortar bookshops as a possibility. So recently I bought a lot of books in a second-hand book sale, and I was explaining that I don't normally buy too many books, which is very, very true. Yet yesterday I bought these. Now what happened in between me saying on the camera that I don't buy books often and then going and buying 3 more, my motivation is that around the time I was buying the book sale books, Steve Donahue was uploading a video saying that the bookshop he used to work in, the bricks and mortar, had just physically closed. And how sad he was, how surprised he was by the depth of his sadness. And it reminded me of one of my favourite films, You've Got Mail, but a really sad scene in it where the heroine is closing the small bookshop because she's been overshadowed by a large kind of department store. It's put her out of business. She has to close. And yet it's been a business that her mother started and ran, and there are so many happy memories. And there's a little scene of her looking around the shop and then taking down the doorbell and walking out with it, a little ding ding, little bell, physical bell that actually rang when customers walked in the door. And I would like real bookshops to remain around and about as a possibility, because I do find it great for, well, places I love to visit and for finding serendipitous books. That is, books you didn't know existed, hadn't heard of, and you just were looking through the shelves and you went, oh, what's that? And it's that moment of discovery. And I have found just very meaningful books to me in the particular bookshop I was shopping in yesterday, the bricks and mortar one. I went into a bookshop to look for this, and the staff member went off and had a look. I'd obviously had a look first, couldn't find it. Then they enlisted the help of somebody else, and off they were scurrying around. And this was a 4-floor store. Meanwhile, I was hunkered down in the basement in a comfortable armchair, looking through other books and forming a little pile. And I fell deeply in love with one of the other books I met, and thought, I really need to buy this one. And which I did, thankfully. Let me see, it's here. Daily Rituals. This is one of my very favourite books I would not be without. And I met it on the way looking for the Viv Groskop book. And I want that possibility to be there, not just for me, but for my friends and visitors and people who live locally. Because when it's gone, it's gone. And I recognise the finances of the whole situation. I recognise that it's cheaper to buy online. It's handier. During the pandemic it was brilliant because you got books delivered to your door when you were concerned deeply about going to a bookshop, if they even were open. So there's that. So what do we do going forward? I'm not made of money, so I can't go and buy all my books in a bricks and mortar bookshop, much as I'd like to, much as I'd like staff in bookshops to remain with their expertise, because they do know books. When you ask them, they're usually quite helpful, and I don't want that to be lost. In themselves, there are spaces where you go in and you don't have music blaring at you, you don't have a sense that people are pushing you out the door. They're welcoming spaces. And I would like that to remain as an option. Partly I know that's because I like physical books, but I also find it one of the quickest ways to assess if a book is the one for me. If it is something I'm interested in, is to hold it in my hands, flick through the back and look through the chapters, but even the way it's printed. For example, I bought a book one time online which was very much recommended, and when it arrived it was in a horrible font and it was so faint that it was just a joyless thing to try and read it, so I gave up. Whereas if you have the physical book in your hands, you can see what it's like, what it feels like. You can also get a real sense of where and how you can carry it. Is it small enough to stick in a handbag, or is it something that's going to be big and chunky and you'll have to support it with putting it on the table in front of you or whatever. You know, there's all sorts of things that you only know when the book is there in front of you. And the only way the bookshops are going to remain open is if we go and buy, because it's got to be readers who are going to be buying the books. We're the most likely to walk in and purchase. We're the most likely to purchase for friends and buy as gifts. And I know that's my go-to for presents. I'm rubbish at buying presents, but my go-to is books, because I think, well, I actually know a good book when I see one, and I know what that person's interests are. And I just think we need to pull together in this as a reading community, as and when we can buy one book or two or whatever. Another thing I think is, to balance it all out, is I buy where I find. So if I'm online and the search mechanism on that online bookshop is finding books for me, showing me things, telling me enough that I think I might well want to buy it, then I buy it there because I find it there. But if I walk into a bookshop, bricks and mortar bookshop, and I find a book there, I have to resist the urge not to go online and buy it cheaper, and I try and do that. Because now I think, well, whichever shop it was has spent money on its premises, on its staff, on bringing this book to my notice, and therefore it's seems fair to buy it there. And that means I split my reading and buying between online and in hand, which makes it more doable for me. If I won the pools, if I won a whole lot of money, I would buy books in the bookshops only, probably. What I find is online, when I go to Amazon, quite often when I'm looking for books, through books, I quickly find myself suddenly in the Kindle store, and I haven't asked to see the Kindle of the book, but it will automatically, the algorithm will try and take me to the Kindles and sell me a Kindle version. And I think that's what's to come. I see that is probably going to happen more and more frequently. And so therefore I don't think we have the option of buying real books for much longer. I think once the bricks and mortar shops go, if we don't buy books, once they close, the online people, it's going to be far easier for them to say, I'll download it to your Kindle, and then we lose the book as it is. I think that's particularly difficult for if you like art books, if you like books with pictures. It's quite different accessing it on a Kindle, and also if, like myself, you aren't particularly keen on that, it's nice to have the option of a real book. And that is much more likely to happen in a bricks and mortar store. You want to have a physical thing that you can look at and hold and be tempted to buy. Here endeth the appeal. But if we don't buy books now and all bricks and mortar shops disappear, we have to buy online, and the online distributors then start playing by what they find suitable. And it means books are in formats we don't particularly like, or the prices suddenly shoot up. We will have no option if there's no other competitor. That's what I'm thinking today. So join me, buy a book when you can.